Hello, welcome aboard. This is how I do the electrical system for my vans. That's what we're working with. Step one is running the wires. Let's get to it. All right, so this is the wire I'm gonna use. This is actually the first time I'm using it on my builds. I didn't know it existed until we used it at Gutted. But really, it's just two wires put together into one wire, which just makes my life easier. It's 12/2. 12 gauge, 2 strands, and I got it from these people because they could ship it the fastest. And the other thing is, I don't run any of my wires behind my walls. I run them all through the cabinetry once the cabinetry is up, because if I need to get to it later and work on it or add something or fix something, then I can get to it. Alright, so my system's gonna live in this bench. That's where the battery is. That's where everything else is going to fit. So all my wires have to run from where they need to be back to here. Which mainly just means drilling a lot of holes and securing the wires so it looks neat and tidy and easy to work on. So with this being my main hub, I'm going to have the maximum amount of wires coming into here. So I'm going to drill a big hole and put this 90-degree PVC pipe into it, just so every wire has a protected turn into the box, and it looks nice and neat, and I don't scratch any wires and short something out later on. Alright, I added some gaffer's tape just to make it snug and seal it a little bit, but pops in nice and pretty. We all good. Already a bit of a brain fart. I've run all my other wires through my garage, but in this van I have this little raised floor. So I think I'm gonna run all my wires just through there, and then I won't even mess with the garage, which means that hole's pretty much pointless, but maybe it'll come in handy later. But I'm gonna drill these other holes. All right, so I got those holes drilled and that one. I'm gonna do the same for these as well. So that's pretty much it for the holes. Well, I mean, I have to make more holes, but you don't need to watch that. But really just strategize, have good lines, and protect your wires. And I'll talk to you when all my holes are done. All the main gaps are done. Boom, 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 boom. So I've got fridge, water pump, diesel heater, hole to the back for the garage stuff. That's where everything's gonna go. And then there'll be little holes through this stuff for the control panel and stuff like that. Making progress. And now we run the wires, which shouldn't be very hard, as long as everything is as I think it is. Alright, so all the main wires are run. You can see I did run 10 gauge for the fridge, just a little bit thicker. Everything else is 12 gauge for the pump, the heater, all the plugs and stuff. Everything's labeled at every section, so if you ever need to work on it, you can go back and you know what wire is what. I gotta go to Home Depot to get some connectors and conduit and other stuff that I put down on a list. But yeah, that's it so far. It's definitely kind of a pain in the butt. The wires never want to go the way you want them to go. But tis what it is. They're in now. There's gonna be more small ones that like go into this box for that, and wires going up for the lights. But I don't really know how I want to do that yet, so I'm just doing what I can for now. I kind of feel like poop, so we shall continue the journey. Alright, so I ran all the main wires, and I'm just going to run you down the line and kind of explain what I got going on, so when you're doing it yourself, you can kind of see if it's similar. So this spot is where the fridge is going to go. I've got a 10 gauge wire. I use 10 gauge for the fridge because it's a little more hefty. I've had a 12 gauge burn out on a fridge before and, you know, create a problem. So I use 10 gauge on the fridge and 12 gauge on everything else. The 12 gauge is probably a little hefty for some of the stuff, like the USB plugs and stuff, but, you know, I don't lose enough that it really matters, and it's never going to burn up. So uniform 12, 10 gauge for the fridge. Under there is the sink, where the sink pump's going to be. You can see I got conduit and clamps, making that all nice and neat. Comes through back here. Each hole through the wall has the PVC circle along, boom, boom, boom. There's a wire there that connects to the wire for the heater. One wire goes back to the garage. It all comes through into the main hub. And then I'll show you what I got going on in the garage. This is what we have going on in the back. So it comes through that 90-degree, up, splits, and then to here. So these things, I'm not actually sure what they're called technically. I call them piggybacks, but you can clip them directly onto your line and then pull another line directly off of them. T-tap splice wire connectors. They're super cool. I wouldn't necessarily use them to like put my fridge and water pump on the same line, but these are both just going to USB ports. So that split, this is going into this box. This will be for the plug in the garage. All pretty slick. And for working with this wire, I'm going to show you kind of how you handle it. So this is only two 12 gauge wires wrapped together. So when you need to put terminals on, razor blade, split that protective sheath, and it peels off. So then you get two wires. I don't know if the lighting's good. I use scissors to clip off this extra. Now I got two wires, and then you just split these ends. This is a tool that splits and strips, but you can also use, you know, less fancy tools. And then a crimper, you put the piece on, boom, and then use this to crimp it. And that's pretty much it, I think. Alright, I also want to show you the clips and stuff I use. So there's hose clamps that come in little bags like this. And then there's these like staple-like clamps that you hammer in. And then I have smaller C-clamps. And then a bunch of zip ties. It's kind of in different areas, you need different things based on, you know, if you can fit a drill or a hammer and stuff. It's all at Home Depot in the electric section. Look for a bunch of little baggies that look like this. Alright, now it's on to the next step, which I don't really know what it is yet. So let me think and I'll get back to you. Alright, next step is putting in the plugs and switches just in the walls, because that's kind of just what I feel like doing. This is going to be the switch for my lights, a little on-off dimmer switch. It's going to go here. So how switches work is this, both of these are positive. So your positive runs into this and then back out, and you want another line here. So this is just in line of your positive feed. And then this one connects to your negative. Let's get to it. Those are in. Now I'm going to run the wires that go to them. Alright, so I think that's as far as I can do the electric for now. I've got some stuff in there trying to figure out how that box is all going to fit together. Wires are run, They're not connected yet, but they're all there, so they can be connected. And every wire is run everywhere else. So pretty good progress. I'm still waiting for stuff to come in the mail for the full system. And I don't want to like attach stuff to the fuse panel now and then realize I have to move the fuse panel because the inverter needs to go there or something. So this is getting paused. Decent progress. And I guess I'll clean up and figure out what to do next. It's kind of been a mess of a day.